Well, some would call it the wrong side of history. Hunter Biden, now the first child of a sitting president to be charged by the Department of Justice. The 53-year-old indicted yesterday on 3 federal gun charges, including making false statements on a federal firearms application and possession of a firearm as a prohibited person. But his attorney is optimistic, making a bold prediction, saying the federal gun charges will, quote, be dismissed before trial. So joining me now, Chief Washington correspondent and moderator of The Hill, Mr. Blake Burman. Blake, great to see you. You know, we were scrambling yesterday to cover this. The president at this point, has had multiple events since this news broke. I can think of one specifically yesterday, at least one today. No mention of this. At what point will the White House address this?
It's a great question. And of course, we'd like to see the president address this. You're right. Yesterday, of course, he was giving that speech on Bidenomics in Maryland, just down the road from us here in Washington. He sort of alluded to the idea of, hey, I'm not really going to talk about this. Then today in the White House, he gave some very brief remarks as it relates to the UAW strike. I've been in those situations, Nichole, with not this president, with the past president. When you're in a small room inside the White House, they're giving an address. You normally get a chance to sort of fire off some questions to the president, whatever the topic or the news of the day might be. And that's exactly what reporters tried to do today. I believe this was in the Roosevelt Room earlier today, which is just outside the Oval. And when reporters tried to do just that, the president walked off, didn't answer any of their questions. So clearly this is something that President Biden is either not comfortable, not willing, or both to talk about right now, because in a setting when he could have said it comfortably yesterday when he was giving a speech away from reporters, he chose not to. And in a setting today that was a little bit more intimate and combative, I guess you could say, he walked off and chose not to address it.
Right. And during her press briefing, we know today, Karine Jean-Pierre did not address it as well either, said she wasn't going to answer that. But what is the reaction, kind of from Washington overall? We heard yesterday from some Republicans. What are the Democrats saying?
Democrats are in a little tough situation here because, they can't really offend the president, right? He is, after all, the leader of their party. But in a way, we're also seeing them try to put Hunter Biden sort of in one bucket and the president of the United States in another. I found that comment, though, from Abby Lowell, Hunter Biden's attorney, interesting, that he's confident that all the charges will be dropped because, Nichole, you'll remember when this plea deal was initially struck between Hunter Biden's attorneys and prosecutors on this case, including David Weiss, his attorneys sort of took a celebratory victory lap earlier this summer, and then all of that blew up. So I'm not exactly sure that the whole we're very confident on this is necessarily the route to go, because the other time that we saw that happen with Hunter Biden and his attorneys clearly didn't work out well.
Yeah, clearly did not. Yeah, maybe this is a case of, saying it makes it so. Blake, we always like to steal you away before the Hill starts. What are you working on for the top of the hour?
So we will be live in the Midwest. Of course, the big strike I'm sure that you've been talking about throughout your show. We'll be talking to one of the heads, the number 2 over at the Chamber of Commerce. President Biden, I mentioned today, spoke about this. He essentially, Nichole, took the side of the UAW and the union and the workers. But what about the side of the companies and the businesses, the big 3 behind this? The Chamber of Commerce is one of those saying, you know what? President Biden's strategy might not necessarily be the right tact here. We'll speak with the number 2 over at the Chamber of Commerce. And by the way, we're also going to talk about NASA. Yesterday, they rolled out this new UAP director, right? Joe Khalil was pressing them. Who is this UAP director? They didn't name him, and then they did. All in one day. Why? We'll talk about it coming up.
We will. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.